Hello everyone, welcome to my first YouTube video. I'm going to be showing you how to draw lips. I'm actually going to be showing you how to render them as well and paint them. So currently I'm just getting a feel for the canvas. And then I'm going to draw 2 circles. Then I'm going to draw an oval underneath. This gives like a Mickey Mouse sort of shape, which is quite good for drawing front lips. So I'm just going to get a feel for it. Then I think I'm going to draw in the lip shape. So this is where your mouth opens. I guess it's the mouth part. It almost looks like a bird flying, so this is something, you can keep in your mind when you're drawing. I'm just going to cut off the top of these circles. If I draw them like that, they're just going to look silly. A little bit too full. So again, I'm just defining the bottom lip. And then the top lip, which is a cupid's bow. It's almost like another flying bird above it. So, you can keep this in mind and this will help you. Especially if you're a beginner to drawing lips. So I like to tidy it up a little bit as well. Sometimes them lines can give you a bit of an idea of how the lip will be rendered as well. Just defining the corners of the mouth. This doesn't have to be perfect either, I mean, it depends if you're using line art. If you were doing line art, you would obviously go over this again and clean it up a lot more, or redraw your lines. So I'm just going to make a copy of it. And this is going to show you an example of how I could paint. So you could paint under lines, or you can paint on top, as how the old masters did it, but in digital. So I'm just cleaning it up a little bit more. I'm not going to be drawing line art in this video, but I was winging it. So I think I'm going to go for a flesh colour, because you've got quite a lot of pigment in your lips. A bit more blushed. I'm just going to lightly dab around. I want to drop my flow down as well, because it's quite high at the moment, and I generally drop my flow down to around under 10% generally. You can have it higher as well. So just gonna go in and keep painting. The more you get out to the corners of the lip, it's best just to make the shades a little bit softer, because if this was blended on an actual face, you would want the lips to look like they're actually not just stuck on, if you understand what I mean. I'm going to add some shadow in now. This is quite important because it shows definition on the lips. It makes them look quite plump as well. Sometimes you might find your shading's a little bit heavy. You can drop down the flow again and just, press Alt. That will pick up the mid colour and you can just go over it again with light dabs. Generally a pressure sensitive Wacom's quite good for this stuff. It doesn't have to be a Wacom though, I mean it can be any form of graphics tablet of pressure settings. I want to add in like a little glint on the lips. Generally I try and saturate the light a little bit more, but it depends on what you're drawing and how it's, been portrayed. Everyone has different colour schemes in the work and different lighting. You can see it coming together now, just from that. It looks like the light's dropping down on the bottom lip. I do think it's a good idea to add in some lighting just on the cupid's bow at the top, because the lip does fold in slightly and then goes up to the nose. So that creates like a small ridge. This is generally for more fuller lips, but everybody's anatomy is quite different. So you can lock the opacity on your lines And this just means that you can put a lighter colour in, so the lines aren't just black. You can actually blend it a little bit more even with line art, so it's quite useful, this. It just sort of blends everything together a little bit better. Just want to add in a little bit more of a glint on the lips. Gives them quite a sheen look. I am a 3D artist as well, and generally this sort of thing, when I'm rendering out, it just reminds me of materials in 3D, like roughness maps and things like that. So again, I'm just defining the Cupid's bow. So the lips look really plump at the moment, which is the look I'm going for, because I generally draw pretty ladies. You can add in quite a harsh glint, which some artists do, but sometimes it's better to just blend stuff a little bit more rather than completely going in with a block colour. It does depend on your style, and it does depend on whether the lips have a gloss on them. If they do have a gloss on them, you will want to define your highlights a lot more. I'm going for a lot more sheen look on these lips, or rather than glossy and wet looking. So we want to move on to the other lip. This is an example of just painting straight down onto the lines. This is how I naturally work when I'm doing my drawings. It can seem quite difficult for a beginner, but you do start to understand how it works, and you get faster and better at it the more you do it. It does seem quite daunting though. When I was younger, I watched artists work this way, and it always freaked me out. So again, I'm defining that flying bird, as I call it. You will want to get darker, because in this method you need to define your edges a little bit more, otherwise it will look too painted. Everybody's style is different though, there's no right or wrong really, in my opinion. You should always experiment and work doing your own things, rather than just copying other styles as well. It's part of self-exploring with art. So again, I'm just defining the top lip, adding in shadows. I like to blend quite a bit as well. Generally just pressing Alt and it will pick up a colour that off what you're hovering it over, and that's quite useful. I do use it quite a lot as well, as you can see. Again, I'm defining that top lip, hovering over the bottom lip slightly, so the lighting's coming top down. I did think the lips were slightly too pouty, it's a bit too big. Every artist's going to be criticising their own work all the time though, but it's part of just self-development. So again, I really just want to get in there defining, so I make sure my pressure sensitivity's on, and I just want to get the lines really deep under that top, middle lip, middle part of the lip. As you can see, it's really bringing it together now. Always keep chiseling at your work, because you might find that you're rushing something and then you just don't feel confident with it, and it might just be that you've not spent enough time on it. Always just keep working on something, especially if you're not happy with it. So I'm just adding a bit of cross-hatching in. It's like something that they teach you in school, but it does come across, you know, when you've been working in art for years, you end up using it a lot. It adds a texture. Again, I just want to show that the lips are slightly rounded, adding glint. You can remove the line work on the other lip if you wanted to, and you could drop the opacity, and that will help you have that painted look still, but with line art to guide you. There's plenty of things you could do. You can add in other colours with an overlay layer. Always experiment with different layer effects, because you never know the result that you might get. So I've added a slight blue hue into the lips. It's almost like she is wearing makeup now, like a form of lip gloss or lipstick. I will want to highlight areas where it will shine, almost giving a pearlescent look. So generally that bottom part of the lip will have a slight reflection, so you will get a bit of highlight underneath. This really helps you, you know, define your work a lot more. So you can see there the difference. I want to duplicate this. I'm just going to show you another colour. You can go through the saturation in Photoshop to get a quick colour change. It's fine, but in my opinion it looks quite flat, so I think we need to do a little bit more work on this. Gonna go in, bit drastic, get the green in there. It looks quite interesting though, this, to me. It's almost cyberpunk-like, futuristic. You should always experiment with your work. This is how you learn as well. It's how you get better and better self-development with your art. If something looks good but it's just too bright on a layer, just try dropping the opacity or the fill, and this will just make the effect a little bit more soft. So I'm gonna go in there, really pick out that green. See, it's just changed the look completely. If you're not happy with something, you could always try something else, a different colour maybe. Filling in that cupid's bow again there. It can be really highlighted, that on full lips. It depends how defined the lips are. Like I said, I like to draw more pretty looking women, so I tend to go for full lips. It's just my preference really, I think it's just my style. Probably because I've got no lips myself. So again, I'm just defining the edge on this. If this was on a skin tone though, I would keep the edge quite soft, just so it could blend out. Just add in some more detail. You can go in and see this is an example of, you know, really sharp, white, glossy lips. It depends how much texture you add on your lips as well, because you would want to go in and add in more glints on the ridges of the lips, but that's not the look I'm going for right now. I will possibly do a tutorial on that as well. But yeah, I think this sums it all up. Thank you very much for watching my first YouTube video. I like to share my knowledge with other artists and, you know, stuff I might not have known when I was younger. It might be useful for young artists now. But yeah, you'll have to just ignore my accent because I am from the north of England. It's terrible, isn't it? Thank you very much though, everyone. I will be doing more tutorials to help you all. Thank you.